The Art of Choke is a video by EMP Lemon. In fact, it's my favorite of his. It's hilarious and at the same time fascinating to see how many different ways a choke can happen. As his video progresses, every last choke seems like the worst one, but somehow, some way, it always gets worse. So, if you click this video because you thought that I was copying Imp's flow word for word, bar for bar, well, you're right. Because of my family, I grew up enjoying every type of competition. But if I think back to when exactly was this flame first kindled in me, well, that's from watching eSports. When I was like 12, I remember thinking that eSports was like the coolest thing a game could have, and was even kinda niche back then. I remember watching tournaments in video games that a lot of people who played it didn't even know had a pro scene. So yeah, this video is a massive copy of Imp's video. As I watched it, I was the whole time wondering what if it was about a subject that I would get it more. Hopefully he's okay with it. With that said, let's go ahead and steal more from him. In 1994, the International Atomic Energy Agency developed a system to categorize the severity of a nuclear disaster. Imp Lemon redesigned this chart to categorize the different levels of choking, and by all means, we'll be reusing the scale of sorrow. Without further ado, let's begin. There are many different levels to choking. Some are really not so bad and even common, but well, they may not be bad, but they are still memorable. With that said, here's to our everyday bloopers, the ones worth remembering. Tarek is known for many different things. He's a Counter-Strike legend, a major winner, that major's MVP, and also the guy who single-handedly popularized Valorant child's game, unlike Counter-Strike with Dark Corridor. But also for a brief period in time, he was a little known for choking. More specifically, mostly South American fans knew him for consistently fumbling the ball after he managed to successfully position himself in the enemy flank, only to then with his entire magazine in an unaware player. There are many such cases, but it all started when Tarek used to represent Brazilian fans as he played alongside Brazilian legends on MIBR. There was this one case where he shot and missed his entire magazine in a game against FaZe. Gaules, a famous Brazilian streamer with massive viewership, was watching and streaming the game, and this was his reaction.
O Ale, ele é muito surdo. Nossa, que Tarik do céu! Meu!
His words birthed a meme in the Counter-Strike community. Anytime Tarek, or anyone else for that matter, with their shots, people would spam these words.
Check that spray, boys. God, dude, what the fuck is this shit, dude? Everything's fucked up, dude. Everything's fucked up. What does Tarek do Sue mean?
Tarek do céu. Tarek, my god.
Oh god, dude, that's not good, not good.
Tarek do céu actually translates to Tarek from heavens, though it is not meant to be translated literally, as it is a popular general expression of absurdity or shock. Tarek is far from a bad player, but he has been known for plays like this.
Overrun. Apex is already in the site. He's got to do this. He's got to do it all. The trigger discipline. He gets nothing. Nothing at all for Tarek, and nothing at all for NRG.
Now, other great bloopers we can find in this level are Rocket League on goals. There's nothing quite like seeing pros scoring for the opponents, but even at the pro level, on goals are surprisingly common. For example, Zen, nominated Best Player for multiple years, has this famous on goal where he scored for the opponents while no one was even near him. But then, in that same tournament, him and his team destroyed opponents and brought a trophy home, which goes to show that all you need is a good overall performance to overshadow a silly mistake. Unless the mistake is so bad that not even the best of performances is enough to make people forget about it. I think Chronovi is a good example of this. On July 2nd, 2016, during the RLCS Season 1, Chronovi, driving in reverse, hit the ball not once but twice, scoring what's to me the worst looking on goal in Rocket League history. Hitting the ball twice to make an own goal is truly something special. Two things were added to Rocket League history that day. iBuyPower actually went on to win the entire tournament, and Chronovi got his deserved recognition for one of the worst plays in Rocket League history. Now, a similar story happened to an Overwatch pro. In April 2019, during the Overwatch Pro League Stage 1 quarterfinals, New York Excelsior is in a must-win situation versus Seoul Dynasty. On the very last seconds of a map, in a best of 5 during overtime, Nene sees an enemy Sombra at the edge of his screen, and instinctively he tries to get him off position. So he ults but misses, basically throwing it away at the last and most important team fight of this whole match. Because of that, New York Excelsior gets obliterated and they
Just
lost.
further behind the grab, not there for Fleta. They can still make this work, but it's going to be in overtime. As they work their way forward. What was that? He eats it up the inside. It doesn't do jack. Beko throws a bomb into the back of this play, trying to find something. Finally, EMP comes in. The shatter's absolutely huge. Jonik trying to keep him alive, and now look at 60 in the sound. Now the answering grab comes through. OT gonna be ticking down, and they've actually done it. Nene chokes at the final hour, throws the grab off to the side, and Dynasty say thank you very much.
One of the most brutal moments in Overwatch history. It's rough, but sometimes you don't think that a play that at the time you thought was really smart could result in your team being obliterated because of it. But I know of someone else who knows exactly how that feels like. Dota 2 Complexity player Swindle Melons. On a best of 5 of the International 5 lower brackets, Complexity is in a must-win situation, and Swindle Melons went for a play that would grant him some small benefits. Basically, he would drop his item, an Eel Scepter, to get some small benefits from his other item, in this case, a Soul Ring. But he did it at the worst possible time. Unbeknownst to him, enemies were lurking nearby, and as soon as he dropped his item, he got ganked.
I think... Who are you trying to call, Sint?
I think Swindle Melons just lost his Yules. I think he dropped it to get more out of his bottle in the bottom lane. Oh. And it got destroyed by the Shaker when he ganked him with the Echo. So that's a 2,800 gold loss. And that means should he get his Bloodstone, he can't play aggressively anymore, because now he's just going to get Orchided again.
Hard to say if Complexity would won that match if that didn't happen, but it surely didn't help. Just brutal. But what about a game where the only player is yourself, and you make a mistake so obvious and humiliating that it became a meme in the community for a decade? On November 2013, during the Innkeeper Invitational semifinal, a match between two legendary names was taking place: Wreckful versus Kripparrian. Also, Toto Biscuit is the one commentating this match, adding in a beautiful holy cherry on top. Well, Wreckful's whole plan was to get Krip low on health to finish him off with the other spells in his deck. On turn 9, he freezes the board and plays Coupled, that adds +1 damage to all of his spells. So spells that previously done 3 damage now does 4, if it dealt 4 now it does 5. Wreckful then proceeds to Frostbolt and Ice Lance Krip's face to get his HP even lower. And on the next turn, Wreckful draws another Frostbolt. And Krip did not heal enough in his turn to survive this. Sitting at only 14 HP, he is done. Can you see how Wreckful got lethal damage on his hand? 11 plus 4.
He would draw into wouldn't be enough. And ladies and gentlemen, there's Frostbolt. We have Pyroblast up there as well. He throws out the Cold Light Oracle.
The thing is, he can afford to. He's got 2 Ice Blocks in his hand. He doesn't have to do anything right now. He's going to play a second.
Yeah, he didn't even think about it, because he immediately forgot about Kobo's spell damage after he played it. Funny to even see the casters trying to justify it, like no, there's a plan to this. Wreckful lost this game, and this is probably the most memorable choke in Hearthstone history. Not because it's the worst there is, but because this is like the first Hearthstone tournament ever. This moment birthed the meme 11 plus 4, which has been used forever since the game's release to this day, making it truly iconic.
Okay, so the ice cube is 4, so 3 fires is 33, so each fire is 11. 11 plus 4 equals... It's Pyro... Come on!
Luckily for Wreckful, there wasn't so much on the line for that match. All that he lost that day was a little self-respect. Could have been much worse. But this just reminds me of G2, who lost a game at the Major because they forgot to complete the objective of the game they're playing. On the 29th of August 2019, during the Starladder Major in Berlin, Astralis rushed down vent and planted the bomb. G2 recovered the round by getting out the frags, so now all they have to do is defuse the bomb.
The idea behind that from Astralis, get that plant down so quickly, you have someone lurking hut, you have Device lurking in ramp room. Wait.
He's the only one with the kit. What are they doing? They're not finding the bomb? No.
No one's defusing. Oh,
there could be
please
absolutely
God.
no way.
This can't be real. Oh.
No, G2.
Holy shit.
This can't be real!
How have they done that?
No!
It's one thing to lose because of a player's mistake, but it's hard to think of something more embarrassing than losing because the entire team, 5 different brains, can't complete the objective of the game they're playing. But now that I think of it, there's one other team that became way more known for showing a similar lack of awareness. Overwatch's Cloud9. In their case though, this happened so much that their name became a verb used to express when a team is equally clueless. In an infamous match between Cloud9 and Africa Blue, Cloud9 stepped out of the point and completely forgot about it, not once.
Does get the one onto Dongyun. Going on to that, and it looks like Africa Blue. Did they just not touch the point? I guess not.
But twice.
Well, Arhan's gonna get taken out. Can't really do much about that. Adam in trouble. Mendo trying to run away.
What? Nobody's on the point!
Are you kidding me? Again!
Choking this first map in a really weird fashion. That's where you'd think this ended, but they won the second map, and then again on the third map, a diva throws her ult at the point and everyone runs away from it to save their lives. It's common for pros to sack a player to not lose a game because you stepped out of the point, but in this case it wasn't even necessary. If you look here, Winston had his bubble up, meaning that someone could have stayed inside of it. For the very least, it was an option. Anyway, after this a new verb was born, the C9, meaning to lose a round because a team abandoned the objective needlessly. But yeah, I think it's about time we go searching for plays worse than that. Part 2, the blunder. In chess, a blunder is the worst possible mistake a player can make. Something like giving away a valuable piece for free.
For free?
He sees it.
For free?
Or allowing the opponent to checkmate you. I'm sure you're used to that in your online games, but high-level professional chess players, they don't blunder easily. There is a well-known correlation between age and a person's ability to become a chess grandmaster. To be one, you need to start surprisingly early in life and dedicate your life to studying the game. Point being that a person who's been doing this since they were 8 don't blunder. But as in any competition, there's always volunteers for the worst mistake. On February 1994, during the Linari Super Tournament, Evgeny Bariv got to this position. It's a dead drawn endgame. Now I want you to try to find the only possible move for black that results in a losing position. I bet you got a special eye for this kind of thing. Yup, that's right, Bishop A7, the only possible move in the position that not only loses material, but also allows checkmate in one. And it's what was played. Now, if you ask a chess fan what's the worst blunder a chess grandmaster has made, they will probably say it's the one Vladimir Kramnik made against a chess engine. On October 7th, 2002, an interesting duel began in the Kingdom of Bahrain, an event known as Brains in Bahrain. The then reigning world chess champion, Vladimir Kramnik, was challenged to win against Deep Fritz, a chess computer program. If you know nothing about chess, it is the only game that I know of where the phrase "you play like a bot" is not an insult but actually the highest of appraisals. That's because bots are much better at the game than humans. But it wasn't always like this. Back in 2002, there was still debate on who was better. Only 5 years prior was the match between Garry Kasparov and Deep Blue. That was the day that the notion that humans are better at chess for our massive creative brains was destroyed. And that was international news. You fast forward 5 years in the future and it is pretty much the same situation. And if human sovereignty in chess isn't enough motivation, $1 million courtesy from the King of Bahrain is also on the line. On game 5, Kramnik reached this position against the computer. The White Knight and Queen are teaming up on an attack against the Black King on the edge of the board. There's only one way to avoid it, I think, and that is to get your king out of dodge. But Kramnik had his mind on something else. He played Queen e3, his idea being that if Queen takes Queen, Bishop takes back, and the pawn on the edge of the board would make him a fine new queen. But oops, he missed the mate threat and lost in one move. For chess fans, this moment was astonishing. A computer will never make such a careless mistake, and to have the world champion, the best of the best, lose in such a manner was heartbreaking. Now there's only one more chess moment that I would like to share. In June 2017, during the Grand Chess Tour in Paris, Hikaru Nakamura with the black pieces is facing Shakhriyar Mamediyarov. They reach this position. Hikaru will promote his pawn to a queen, which in turn will force both of the last pawns on the board to be traded, making this a rook vs rook endgame, which is most definitely drawing. Except he BM'd and promoted to a knight. allowing Mehmediarov to do an intermediary move, a check forcing Hikaru to play King G1. King G3 would force both rooks off the board, and the king can't catch the running pawn with his short legs. And after throwing the game, Hikaru storms off the board in rage. The funny part is that he promoted his pawn to the only piece that would allow this, since a bishop would give a check, a rook would attack the other rook, forcing white to respond, and a queen, all of the above. I like this moment because losing right after you BM'd or because you BM'd is a beautiful way to joke. Honestly, there's not much of it to be found in chess, but luckily I do know where players BM a lot, and that is the fighting gaming community. If you've never watched it, try to picture a prison yard. But in this prison, the only convict felons are either Reddit mods, nerds, bodybuilders, or weebs. It is truly a magnificent sight, an event that couldn't happen naturally in the wild. So let's start with May 2012 on Street Fighter 4 on a match between Rick Ortiz and Wolfcrone. It's a best of 3 and the score is 1-1, so it's bound to be a disputed third game. And yeah, down to the wire on the last round for all the marbles, Wolfcrone connected a heavy punch into a special, and it looked like he had it in the bag. He himself thought that too and got up for a celebration, but unfortunately the fight wasn't over yet.
Oh, so smart! He was expecting an EX right there. Oh, will he do it again? Oh, there he got it! Oh, Wolfcrone is... Look at this, look at Ricky, what are you standing up for?
Early celebrations are embarrassing by itself, but the commentary by Ultra David is the cherry on top. This is the moment that the phrase, "What are you standing up for?" was born. A simple quote immediately cherished and picked on by the FGC. This is when the meme was born, but it's not its most famous use. You'd think that after this, players will learn to keep their composure. Funny thing is, pretty much the exact moment happened again, only 3 years later. On July 2015, for that year's Evo, we've got a best of 3 between Ogawa and Washige for a spot in the Grand Finals in Guilty Gear XRD. The games were pretty balanced. Ogawa took the first game, Washige took the second, and now it's coming down to the wire on the third and last game. Washige was really close to losing the first round, but he wouldn't go down without a fight. He manages to sweep the round and got up for a celebration, thinking that it was over.
So smart, he couldn't burst because of the super. But Washige thinks it's over!
Locked down,
but he won the last round! And Ogawa doesn't care! He took out 65%!
Oh my god!
Washige, no!
Washige, not like this! What are you standing
up for?
Why?
Oh my god!
What are you standing up for? After this, the phrase would spread everywhere. This one is one of the most famous jokes in esports. But this is not the last time we'd see a use of this quote. On just May of last year, during Combo Breaker, Killa Kobe faced Monarch in Blast Blue Central Faction. On the very last round of this match, our protagonist thought he won. But nah, once again, what are you standing up for?
Oh no, why are you standing up for? What are you standing up for? What are you standing up for? He stood up. What are you standing up for? In a surprising set, he messed up the command grab. Monarch shaking his head. What have you done, Killa Kobe? You have fumbled the biggest badge possible. His winner's finals ticket has been refunded. I thought this would never happen ever since Ogawa. This hasn't happened since Ogawa. This is an absolutely historic moment. Monarch even complaining. He's saying, what have you done here, folks? I cannot believe this has happened. Nobody. This is insane.
But you know what's also great heartbreaks in the FGC? Ego matches. If missing out on prize money isn't enough, in ego matches, your honor is also on the line. So, let me start with this. Chillin is one of the best Fox players in Super Smash Melee. He helped develop Fox as a character, having multiple moves named after him. In the future, Leffen is one of the best Fox players to ever touch the game, but also famously known for being toxic and disrespectful towards other players. Their ego match is some of the best the FGC has to offer. It all started because Leffen made a tweet about 2 esports orgs that hired veteran players instead of new talent. Chillin was one of the veterans and he replied. This rate of jabs would even culminate into a diss track made by Chillin titled "Respect Your Elders."
Chokes. I beat Mango, I'm the favorite if he chokes. As far as Armada goes, I'll just wait till he's a host. Ain't no telling how foolish you'll be looking.
The actual game day, Chilean lost 5-0, left in 1 without dropping a single game, and he wasn't even trying that hard, as he was trolling in-game, not playing super seriously, and laughing the entire time. After the game, Chilean was asked for an interview, and all he had to say was, "Mabi." A simple quote that will accompany him for the rest of his life. Well, in this case, the guy who was known to be toxic and started all the drama won. But now, let's go looking for the opposite. The day is the 24th of October 2014 at Wednesday's Night's Fights. The game is Street Fighter 4. The match is between Low Tier God and Viscount. It all started after Low Tier God, who even nowadays is known for spewing insane bigotry on a daily, lost on games online to Viscount.
Okay, the final score 20-6, but it was a troll session.
Because of that, he decided to go on Twitter and pick on Viscount's looks, calling him a PDF file, a weirdo, Dahmer, you get the gist. Viscount confronted him, and that resulted in the grudge match. In true villain fashion, most people were siding with Low Tier God on this one. Initially, the games were pretty balanced, but as proof of celestial justice, Low Tier God lost. And that day, Viscount showed to the world that the guy who tucks his shirt and prays to God before every match knows how to Another guy famous for being extremely toxic in the FGC is Filipino Champ. But in his case, he can trash talk all he wants because he has the facts to back it up. He won EVO 2012 playing Marvel vs. Capcom ever since he's been recognized for being skillful. He made it to the top 8 4 other times. He is our villain. Now, let me present you our hero. His name is Kane Blue River, definitely the most successful player from South America. In 2015, he won EVO, lifted a trophy, and brought it home. And hilariously, that's what caused the drama between the two. F-Champ, dying of jealousy, would constantly, in any opportunity given, say that the sole reason why Kane Blue River won EVO was because he was never matched against him and he wanted to play him anytime, anywhere to prove his point. Well, 7 months after Blue River won EVO, the fans arranged a match between the two to answer once and for all who's the better player. In the 24th of February 2016, during the Winter Brawl X, the EVO 2012 champion faced the EVO 2015 champion. First to 15 is the winner. At first, it looked like Kane Blue River had no chance. F-Champ wasn't even trying and he opened up 6 games to nothing. At this point, F-Champ, trolling Blue River, paused the game, got up, went to the casters and said he wanted to be charitable.
He's struggling to get a game, but I paused the game purposely, so give him a point. Okay?
Oh,
give him a point.
my God.
You know what I'm saying? This is my charity. Give him a point. All right?
Folks, from time to time we get...
Did he really just do that?
He did.
After that, F-Champ won a few more games. Kane Blue River would eventually fight back, but he was pretty far from a recovery. The final score was 15-10 for F-Champ. This should have been the end, but as life imitate art, the story couldn't end with the villain's triumph. Thing is, they still had a tournament to compete in, and in the most cinematic way possible, both players made to the winners finals. But this is still not the end because KBR lost again. F-Champ banished him to the losers, but as a phoenix rising from the ashes, our hero returned for a final confrontation in the grand finals. KBR won the first set. So now they're both on losers and the game will be decided on this set. A few games in, Kane Blue River is sitting on match point, but F-Champ punches back and ties 2-2. So in the end, it'll all be decided in one game. Filipino Champ demolished Blue River in the winners finals in the grudge match, but now for all the marbles in the grand finals, he lost. And this is even better evidence for divine justice and karma.
Oh my gosh! Kane Blue River, wow! We are the world! We are the children!
That was great. But now, to get anything better than that, we have to dig deeper. Level 3, the Oddity. I'd say some of the most comical jokes there is when a team loses in a completely winning position. In Dota during the Bucharest Minor on January 26th, Boom ID found a way to perfectly encapsulate what that looks like. They were really close to losing the game, so they decided they wouldn't want to wait the extra couple of seconds just to see the defeat screen. So they considered the game without realizing where their crypts were positioned. They were beginning to hit the throne, and only after the game, Boom ID found out that without calling GG and quitting, they would have actually won the match. This is just really good. What a creative way to choke, but I guess not that rare. As it turns out, it's not the only time a team called GG and quit a little too early.
The Dire Ancient would have fallen first, Boom ID would have won. Big mistake.
Team Unknown gained notoriety for being this hyper-aggressive team that would constantly disrespect their opponents during an entire match. On December 3rd, 2017, at the Kiev Major South America qualifiers, Team Unknown clashed against Team Infamous, and they showed up like their usual selves. During the match, they were walking around taunting, opening all chat just to put in a question mark, and of course, dropping their items. So, at one point in the match, Anitos, with his HP halved, sees enemies at the edge of his screen, and he starts to drop his items to provoke them. But then he is surprised and gets ganked, losing at least one of his items. Then one of his teammates immediately rage quits.
Booker rage quit.
What?
This to me is one of the most hilarious and the most embarrassing moments in professional esports. I've never seen a player rage quit in the middle of a professional match.
Just quit.
And they're done. They said GG, and then they just...
So, it would not surprise me if this roster changes again very, very soon.
Team Unknown disbanded the very next day, and to this day they are only remembered as the big joke that they were. On May 18, 2019, during the Sojeti eSports series, Nordavend managed to throw 2 leads. First by choking a 2-0 game lead on the last 7 seconds of the game, which is actually mad impressive to lose an unlosable game in 7 seconds. But yep, in 7 seconds they allowed opponents to score 2 points, bringing the game to overtime and losing 3 minutes into it. Which is then followed by them losing their 3-0 match point head start. I gotta say, it's difficult to choke harder than this. This is truly a masterpiece. I'd call it iconic even. And to follow it up, I can think of a play so iconic that it became part of someone's identity. On May 7th, 2016, at DreamHack Austin, our beloved streamer Summit1G shoot his shot at professional Counter-Strike by joining Splice. They didn't start on the right foot in the tourney, losing to Luminosity 16-5, but seemingly it was just a fluke as they were on their way to winning the first map against LG on a great score, 16-11.
Summit's gonna clutch it, and Splice will close out map number 1, 16-11. Oh wait. What?
Okay then.
No! What happened? Oh no! Summit! No!
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
Oh my goodness.
There's that.
Summit, not looking at his screen, walked over and died to his own Molotov. Throwing that around, and to make things worse, his team is as broke as I am. They are forced into a Nico the next round. And just like that, a guaranteed dub turns to an L. After this match, a new term was created to express this play or similar. The 1G. Shortly after, Summit would put an end to his pro career, but this moment is still cherished by his and the Counter-Strike's community, eternally remembered as one of the most embarrassing moments in CSGO history. But it's really not so bad when you consider that the best of the best have done something similar. On the 2nd of July 2019, in a game between Navi and Liquid, Navi had seemingly guaranteed the win. It's 16-11 in a 3v1. And Simple, one of the best players this game has ever seen, is sitting behind the last living player, making this frag as guaranteed as it gets.
To be confirmed.
Oh no,
Nitro. Oh, nearly got knifed. Simple, of course, tried to push it through. And it's in style? With a bit of sass.
If it goes overtime now, Matt, I don't know what will happen.
Too far ahead of ourselves. He is still on 17. Still only a 17. And smoke's down. He has to get around them somehow. Looks toward the car, and he gets it through the window. Now he gets the defuse, and okay, Henry's called it. Is this gonna happen?
It did happen. That play not only cost them the map, but the entire match, or even a better placement in the tournament. It just couldn't be more disastrous. Similarly, on April 3rd, 2021, after a series of bad decisions, ENCE blew a 15-3 match point advantage, losing on overtime 19-17. Just 5 months later, at the PGL Major in Copenhagen, G2 lost the chance of maybe winning the major because Nico missed his shots at an enemy that was facing away from him. On June 14th, 2020, at the DreamHack Grand Finals, G2 had a 1-0 map advantage due to coming from the upper bracket. They won the second map, making it 2-0, and then proceeded to choke a 2-0 head start, unable to get a third map to save their lives. On Rainbow Six Golden Age, there was a team famous for always choking when it mattered most: Evil Genesis. On February, during the 6th Invitational 2018 Grand Finals, Evil Genesis had a 2-0 map win head start and managed to choke the next 3 after demolishing Penta in the first 2. On the very next year, EG again had the opportunity to get the trophy for themselves. They won the first map and is sitting on match point on the second map of this best of 3. But once again, they choked the lead and lost the series. Famously, one of the rounds they threw was a 3v2 where they were defending with 30 seconds on the clock. All that EG had to do was hold and not go for silly duels. So what do you think they did? Yeah, they went for the silly duels. Canadian decided to pick the opponent at a very awkward and risky angle. Right after, Geometrics decided to pick 2 and whiffed his entire magazine.
Sees the Tracers go, no! Scyther will win the fight, he'll inch his way on up. Geo's gonna be next in line, but this could be a tough shot, and Empire could wrestle away the round. There's Geo just waiting, he doesn't pull the trigger, he sees it, he pops up. Oh no, Geo, you gotta hit your shots! Young will be the last one left. He was so important for FaZe, he turns his back, he's got the pistol, but Shepard will...
On May 3rd, 2019, during the Smite Pro League Season 6, a best of 5 between eUnited and Space Station was going to happen. But eUnited did not show up to the game in time because they overslept. And because of how the rules are for this tournament,
plain and simple, if they're not here by 1 o'clock when things all get started, that first game is forfeit. So just right out the gate already, they're going to be down a game.
Exactly, and the way that it works after that is for every 5 minutes after 1 o'clock, they lose another game. So if they aren't here by 1:10, then it's a 3-0 for Space Station. Space Station's already up 1-0 because eUnited just can't get here in time. There's no analysis necessary.
Sure.
This is pathetic. They should be here.
United did not show up at 1 o'clock, but arrived there at 1:04, except for one player, Benji. And because they didn't have all the players ready, they had to forfeit 2 games. So, Space Station received a 2-0 head start for free. All they have to do is win 1 single game. But well, you can see where this is going, right? They lost 3-2. It's such a shameful loss too, losing to a team who weren't even there ready to play. Plus, choking a 10k gold head start in 2 of these games is beyond just embarrassing. Now, talking about blowing a gold lead in League during the DreamHack Summer in June 2012, Moscow 5 lost a game where they had a 26,000 gold advantage. It's nuts to see it unravel. During the whole game, the casters were saying that it was impossible for the opponents to recover, and by the end of the game, they had no voice for how much they screamed while CLG recovered.
My voice was gone before this match, it's absolutely destroyed now, but what the hell has just happened in front of our eyes?
That is why League of Legends is the best
That's
game
why
in the world.
It's the #1 game in the world as well.
That is.
In May 7th, 2016, during the mid-season Invitational, CLG won a game versus the then undefeated Royals Never Give Up, who managed to lose with a 17k gold head start. RNG was the crowd's favorite. They were rooting for them the entire match, and by the end they are just that quiet and traumatized.
The silence in the crowd after they see their team have the largest of leads, but unable to close.
Well, I think we've read off our stay in this level. There are chokes similar to this that are actually much worse. To see how bad it can get, we'll have to increase the stakes. Level 4, the upset. One of the worst feelings in watching competitions is seeing your team losing to a new team that just entered the game. You know it shouldn't happen, you know it couldn't happen, but you are seeing it. In August 9, 2016, during the International 6, TNC, a new team from the Philippines, the first one to ever get to the International from that region too, defeated OG, the strongest and the team everyone expected to win the tournament. On April 28, 2017, during the Kiev Major, SG, a Brazilian team that was unheard of, with their team captain being 5k MMR, and them being the absolute worst team in the group stage, they still got matched up against Secret, the best team in the group stage that qualified without a single loss. Just from these facts alone, everyone assumed this would be an easy clap stomping by Secret, especially after they destroyed SG in the first map. But in subsequent games, they choked real bad and got eliminated by the worst team in the tournament. On September 2022, during the International 11 Western Europe qualifiers, Team Bald, a meme team created by a streamer and his friends, defeated one of the strongest contenders everyone expected to compete for the trophy, Team Alliance. To me, it doesn't get worse than this. Losing to the underdogs already bad, now imagine losing to a team that doesn't even scrims or practice together at all. This loss popularized a meme from the co-owner, CEO and director of Alliance, who had stated that Alliance was costing the org $10,000 a day to maintain, only to lose to some streamer fooling around. But well, another great upset in Dota comes from Team Spirit. During the International 10, they won 5 underdog matches in a row, and curiously in Counter-Strike, the same org have a similar story. After Spirit changed their roster mid-2023, they began winning matches against some of the best teams in the game. And it wasn't a fluke, they went on to become number 1. But in Counter-Strike, there are some great upsets that goes way back. One Bellator Fire was a team that never got any recognition. Pros didn't respect them, casters didn't respect them, analysts didn't respect them.
If they somehow qualify for the playoffs, I will eat a fucking boot.
Well, they went on to defeat all of the top tier teams, including a legendary match with Mousesports, historically one of the strongest teams in the game, after a 3-12 score deficit. But most importantly, they qualified and got to the Legend stage, finishing in 7th place.
So I'm just quitting that. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kill myself.
Shortly after, the team vanished into inexistence. The only player from their roster to get any recognition was Boomblitch, who went on to play for Na'Vi. We could talk upsets in Counter-Strike all day long, because there's so many, but there's only 2 more that I would like to share. Like, during the Major in Krakow 2017, the 2 worst teams in the tournament made it to the Grand Finals. For context, they were rated number 11 and number 14 in the world at the time, which by the CS metric it means that they lose a lot, and at best they are winning local tournaments. Now, Optic also has an impressive story in Counter-Strike. They won E-League 2016 when they were ranked number 18 in the world. They had some of the best teams at the time choke against them, including Astralis. In League, there's this thing called wildcards. Basically, there are some regions in the game known for having the teams with the best seeds. A wildcard team is one that doesn't come from any of these major regions. The best example of this is Albus Nox Luna. They won against CLG, the MSI finalist, G2, the EU champions, Rox Tigers, the number 1 seed from Korea, which was predicted to win Worlds, and they made it to the playoffs in Worlds, a first ever for a wildcard team. They had teams from every major region choke against them, a historical, legendary performance.
He's gonna get it! They did it! Oh my god, they did it!
On July 2015, a Street Fighter legend, Alex Vale, a player who was retired from professional Street Fighter but was once crowned the best player in the mid-90s, decided to compete in EVO 2015. Vale hadn't deeply studied Street Fighter 4, but still he defeated Bonchan, the 2nd place holder in the previous EVO, and he did it with a massive disadvantage. Sagat vs Hugo is actually massively one-sided. The Sagat player should always win this in high-level play. So just from the character selection alone, everyone thought it was over for the old-timer. But Vale defeated Bonchan against all odds. But I gotta say, there is a much worse upset in the FGC that happened just 1 year prior. During their DreamHack Winter 2013, FSP, a seasoned Street Fighter player, got matched against Gandhi, a guy who barely knows how to play but showed up to the event and decided to sign up. His playstyle was basically just mashing buttons and see if anything clicks. Multiple times during the match, he'd even miss multiple jabs in a row. But somehow his random playstyle tilted his opponent, who couldn't grasp how he was losing to such a horrible player. The fight was so embarrassing for FSP that the casters were trying to give him advice on how to play the game mid-fight.
Now don't try and do anything too tricksy. Just bait the DP. Yeah, just wait. He's not going to throw you. Just wait. You can just hold down back.
He's so scared that he's walking back.
Yay!
There you go. An anti-air. Come on. Come on, FSP.
Come on, man.
It's hard to think how it can get worse than this, so I'd say it's about time we get out of this level. But trust me, what awaits us ahead will only be much, much worse. Level 5, the Nightmare. We've witnessed many different ways a choke can happen, but what they all have in common is that people involved could, and almost all of them did, recover from it. So what about those who tried but couldn't recover from a play or performance so bad that it is all that they are remembered for? People like that are commonly known as choke artists. And boy, we are not talking about your average choke no more.
Oh my god.
Plays here are so bad that it ruined careers and left lifelong scars. SHZ is a Counter-Strike player with an impressive resume. He's been playing professionally since 2016. In his journey, he played for legendary teams like Luminosity and MIBR. But if you search his name right now, he's only known for a single game he played. The day is the 22nd of March 2021. The score is 14-13. And the Brazilian underdogs somehow got a chance at defeating the monolith that was Simple's Navi. An opportunity that is thrown out the window by SHZ, who decided that he would try to knife Simple, apparently just for the sake of knifing the GOAT, because he definitely had more ammo to shoot.
Misses, there shouldn't be another, but he hits it. He's so low, 4 HP, 1 bullet is all.
And because of this play, they lost a round, lost the game, and got too old by Navi.
Why? I don't know why he went for that SHZ.
You know who you're playing against.
Like, not only is that a bad play in that situation when the scoreline was 14-14, it's against Simple. If you pull the knife out, that is the sign that you want to go to bloody war, and I'm not talking about the war.
It's a decision so senseless that to this day there are Brazilian fans who still resent him. Now there's one other pro greatly known for costing games to his team, and he goes by Custa. If you search up CSGO Custa, you can easily find 3 of his plays that are the fans' favorites, including burning his entire HP to a Molotov, failing to defuse the bomb because he doesn't have a kit, while his teammate who does have a kit is not allowed to defuse because of him, which in turn made them all die and lose the match 2-1, but also failing to plant the bomb because he wants to throw a Molotov at the last second of the round. After Custa joined Liquid is when he really started being disliked by the NA fans. The team literally fell apart after he joined. Later in that same tournament where he failed to play the bomb, people went as far as to blame solely him for Liquid's shortcomings.
This specific match was lost due to one player in my mind. They messed up a lot of rounds, but the crucial rounds were lost because of Custa. He simply does not know how to rotate on this map at all. Every time they had the man advantage, he gave it right back by doing some idiotic rotate that I do not understand why. There's literally no reason for what.
Custa was listening to this, and it's just so brutal. Every time I watch this clip, I just want to give him a hug through the screen. Anyway, similarly in Rainbow Six, RXWD, also known for his secondary name Ironix, is a very accomplished player, but the only thing that he is remembered for is for consistently underperforming. Bro never got a top frag in his life. Outside of the early players, many in the R6 community consider him the worst high-level pro player. There is this famous clip of him trying to destroy an echo drone and failing miserably, and then the enemy swings at him and he dies.
IQ on attack though to be able to spot some of this. In fact, it looks like Ironic is actually going to try and take advantage of a little bit less defense down here, but in the meantime, while he's doing that, of course, he's just going to be shot.
Oh my god!
So, not exactly a highlight play for Ironix, who's been on a bit of a roll today.
Not his day, not his week, not his season, not his year.
Oh my god!
But an even worse player is 9line, who during the entirety of Season 7 had a KD of 3 kills to 24 deaths. He has had better performances. He went 56 to 46 with a 1.14 rating in a different season, which isn't impressive, but it's not bad. But no matter what, people will never forget the 3 to 24. It is what he is mostly remembered for. In LoL, the title for worst player I'd argue goes to Locust. He was a pro player competing in high-level tournaments while being hard stuck in silver. I know and have seen online people talking about some of his worst matches, but I can't for the life of me find the VODs anymore. I think they're long gone. In Dota, Bone 7 comes to mind when you think of nightmarish performances. He is also an impressively accomplished player, but a huge chunk of the player base only remember Bone 7 for being a massive feeder. He holds a record for most deaths in a single game after he died 26 times in a single one. But I gotta say, he is not the worst that this game has to offer. Twista is probably the one that takes the cake. He played the game for years and he is only remembered for being horrible. And he has the numbers to back it up. In his career he had a 37% win rate. And never in his career he had a win rate above 50%. Him and Mitch is probably the two worst pro players to ever touch the game. Well, everyone in this level lived the nightmare that is getting the dream job but realizing that you are horrible at it. There's few things more brutal than failing at the one thing that you've been put on God's green earth to do. But this is where this level ends. In this next one, it is pretty much the exact same, but taken to an extreme. Level 6, the Meltdown. Speedrunning is probably the most individual esport there is. It is just the runner versus time and himself. And for the nature of this competition, choking is inherently more brutal. On July 28 at ESA 2014, Nubist was invited to speedrun Dark Souls all bosses. From the get-go, things weren't going exactly as planned, due to dying quite a bit, a couple of missed skips, and forgotten tricks.
Should be about there.
Right there, I think.
Might be slightly further left. But I actually don't know exactly. It's hard to tell.
This is a problem. I'll just do it normally, whatever.
The run went way over the estimated time. 2 hours into the run, 20 minutes over the estimated time, there were still 3 bosses left. 7 minutes later, the upcoming run of Left 4 Dead 2 had to be cancelled to make room for Nubis to finish the game.
To make room for Nubis to have enough time to actually finish this run, we're going to cut Left 4 Dead.
But things were still going to get much worse. At 2 hours and 9 minutes, Nubis defeated 2 of the 3 remaining bosses, so now the final boss is Gwyn. To defeat him, the runner must parry his attacks to get a hit in. But Nubis just couldn't do it. And the worst part is that every time he died, he had to walk for an extra minute and a half to get back to the boss area, and he died multiple times in a row. Then, in pure despair, Nubis started passing the controller around to see if anyone else could finish the run for him. But everybody else failed the same, so it went back to him to finish this agony. 2 hours and 27 minutes into the run, he defeated Gwyn, 47 minutes over the estimated time. Safe to say this goes down as one of the most disastrous speedruns at a live event, but not the worst one. This honor goes to a run so bad that rules were created to never allow the same situation to ever happen again. On January 6, 2011, Cody Miller, the record holder for the most Halo Combat Evolved levels, and also a Guinness Book World Record holder for beating Halo 2 on Legendary difficulty without dying, was invited to Games Done Quick to speedrun Halo CE on Legendary in 2 hours estimated time. Jumping into it, in the very first level, the basic way to do it is to throw plasma at the door and make a run for it. Instead, Cody sits here for a couple of minutes struggling to kill off the mobs. The next level, there's a grenade jump that saves a couple of seconds and avoids an enemy spawn trigger. Cody doesn't do it and dies here a couple times, then proceeds to say 2 phrases you'll never want to hear in a speedrun.
I forgot how to do this part. Man, this isn't going well.
He then proceeds to lower the difficulty, and now his Halo Legendary run became a heroic run. 10 minutes later, he says this.
I would go to Legendary for the library.
Try to remember that. There's 10 levels in Halo CE. 1 hour into the run and we've only completed 3. Also on this level, Cody tries to do a trick where you throw 3 plasma grenades and a frag to boost yourself to the top of the platform. But he doesn't throw the frag grenade. After a billion tries, he fails to realize what he's doing wrong and just give up.
You know what, we'll just do this normally.
This little decision adds 17 minutes to an already bad run. Yeah, I guess we'll go a little overtime. An hour and a half into the run, Cody tries to do another skip. After a bunch of attempts, he gives up and again does the level normally. Adding from the moment he started to doing the skip to the moment he finished the level, almost 15 minutes. 20 minutes over the estimated time, Cody's at level 6 out of 10.
Let's see if we can do it under 3.
Well, if you think you'll finish this run under 3 hours, you haven't been paying attention. 2 hours and 40 minutes into the run, Cody gets to the library level. Remember?
I would go to Legendary for the library.
Yeah. He then proceeds to change the difficulty from heroic to normal, lowering it for a second time. But still, even on normal, he dies in the library a bunch of times. Let me remind you, this is the guy with the Guinness World Record for completing Halo 2 in 3 hours and 17 minutes without dying, man. An hour and 17 minutes over the estimated time, the crowd is just bored.
How many times can we say Chevy Chase within the next couple minutes? Because we said it
Chevy
a lot.
Chase.
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase. Dan Aykroyd.
I can't blame him. They are watching a guy completing Halo normally while skipping the cutscenes. So the run ends with 4 hours and 17 minutes in the clock, going over double the estimated time, and having to lower the difficulty twice in a legendary run is nothing short of, I don't know, just sad. Even with this horrible run at the time, people didn't realize what was terribly wrong with Cody's performance. But a couple years later, people found out that Cody actually faked all of his previous runs, and he was always a fraud. The Cody Miller saga is really interesting. There's still videos here on YouTube that helped me get info on it. Especially this one by Fergus, who is a runner himself and saved my life. Thanks to him, I didn't have to watch Cody's run in its entirety because I'm not too sure I could have survived it. Anyway, this run goes down as the worst ever speedrun in history, and I don't think no one will ever be able to beat that for centuries to come. That's because after this run, a new rule was created and implemented by GDQ, the Halo rule, also known as the Mercy Kill rule. It states that a run can be abruptly ended if it's going horribly, and it's definitely going to go way past the estimated time. So at least now, Cody has some real records under his name. Cody Miller is probably the best example of a Meltdown choke, but speedrunning isn't the only esport where this happens. It can happen in your average team-based esports as well. The best example of this is in Overwatch. The Shanghai Dragons are legendary, but for all the wrong reasons. They are record holders for being the worst, the unluckiest, destined and doomed to pull off the longest losing streak in sports history. Shanghai Dragons are most known for losing 42 matches in a row. They went an entire season of the Overwatch League without one single dub, scoring 0 to 40. There is no other team in all the different sports and esports that managed to do so bad. The team holds a record for the longest losing streak in centuries of competition history, passing the previous 28-game losing streak by the Philadelphia 76ers. Choking hardly gets more disastrous than this. If we look back at that chart by the IAEA, they put it as something equivalent from 70 to 100 tons of TNT blowing up inside a nuclear facility and launching 70 to 80 tons of highly radioactive materials into the surrounding area. There's only one more level worse than this, and as EMP11 put it, it is the Chernobyls of esports. Level 7, the Inconceivable. Personally, I picture the Inconceivable as something that makes you go, wow, what a creative script. It is truly magnificent to see how creative people can get in the art of joking. I've been avoiding this place, saving them until now. On the 2nd of April 2016 at the MLG Columbus Major semi-final, an anticipated game between Luminosity Gaming and Team Liquid happened. The crowd is 99% American, they only cheer for Liquid, and they try their best to give away Luminosity's position.
Guessing game for sure. 30 seconds left to play with. Just 4 men left standing now for the Brazilian team. They still have 3 towards A. Oh, what
Safe to say, Liquid has an advantage right off the bat. Still, Luminosity opens the game 4-1. They lose a round, but win 3 more. But going forward, Liquid dominates the game, making it 15-9. Looking back into this round, it seems that Liquid just won the game. They are running B, and there's only one player defending it with an AWP. One kill trade is all they need to wrap this up. But well, things didn't go exactly as planned.
To work with. Here he comes once again. The first base is Adren. He's going to hit the ground there as Cold. Oh, what? A jumping double from Cold. What is going on right now? How does he do this? Cold has saved Luminosity with the play. Unthinkable scenes there on the B apartments. They needed a huge play, but that was something I'm never going to see ever again. Ridiculous stuff.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Code Zero got the first kill as expected, but then he went back, jumped, and he got a no-scope mid-air collateral op-shot. The word inconceivable is an understatement. Anyway, this is not really where Liquid choked. This was just them getting unlucky. After the round, the score was 15-10. Liquid just needs 1 point, but after these traumatizing scenes, they were in a state of shock, and Luminosity was hyped. The game ended in overtime 19-15. Liquid did not score a single point for the rest of that map. But still, this is not where the story ends. In fact, we haven't even reached the worst part yet. On the second map, Liquid opened up 5-0, thanks to an insane 1v4 clutch by Hiko, who was destroying Luminosity, ending the first half with 24 kills and 5 deaths. Things evened out though and they tied. But just like in the first map, Luminosity couldn't get another point in. On round 22, the score is 15-6 for Liquid. On paper, this is GG, right? I mean, all they have to do is keep doing what they've been doing and eventually they will carry that trophy home. But again, just like the first map, they lost on overtime 19-16. Liquid choked 2 maps in a row. That day the crowd went from cheerful to dead silent. Funny how we can track down the origin of one of the greatest chokes in esports to a single play, Code Zero's jumping op shot. If this whole sequence was in a movie, I'd call it unrealistic. What an insane script. Ever since this play, people have tried to replicate it, have calculated the odds of hitting a fatal collateral in a completely inaccurate op shot, the odds of Liquid losing so many match points in a row. The variables are so many that it's hard to determine. Code Zero himself have said that he couldn't have done it alone. The play was so grand that it took divine intervention. And honestly, you gotta see his point. After watching this, you gotta believe that some things are just meant to be. This play must be a canon event in multiple realities. I mean, no way someone can get this lucky. Celestial forces must be against your team getting a W for a change. There's no other explanation that you can come up with. Now, since we are on the subject, what about we move to a game where luck and skill are complementary? If you want to find pros choking not entirely by a sudden, inexplicable absence of skill, but also a fair share of bad luck, Hearthstone is the cream of the crop. On November 2016, during the Hearthstone International Championship quarterfinals, Amnesiac faced Pavel. It's a best of 5 and Amnesiac gets ahead with a 3-0 lead. All he needs is one more game to wrap it up. But Pavel fights back and gets 2 wins on the board. On game 6, it looks like Amnesiac got it. Pavel is running out of juice and Amnesiac's deck is built around this card. He notices that his opponent is running out of resources and correctly makes the read that right now is the perfect turn to drop down his win condition, Malygos. In Pavel's turn, he draws Babbling Book. At this point of the game, he has 14 cards in his deck. Only 2 of them are Babbling Book. The odds of Babbling Book being at the top of his deck is 7.1%. Now, Babbling Book can give you up to 29 different spells. Out of all of them, there's only 2 that are polymorphs, aka the only spells that can remove Malygos in this turn. The odds of getting either one is of 6.9%. Nice. But this one is much better because it doesn't give your opponents a 4-2 minion, thus it leaves you with much better winning chances. The odds of getting this card is of 3.5%. So yeah, guess what happens? Amnesiac plays Babbling Book and gets the perfect spell, Polymorph.
This is a decision that Pavel has made. Amnesiac does not play this card in his mage. This could be huge for Pavel.
Polymorph! The perfect answer to the Malygos. This is gonna blow Pavel, Amnesiac, out of the water. Oh, look at it. Oh my God.
The heartbreak on the face from Amnesiac. I think he actually pulled at his own hair a little bit there. He was so frustrated, and I don't blame him. That is an absolute backbreaker for Amnesiac.
Still, there are decent winning chances for Amnesiac, as long as he can gain control over the board. He then clears the board and plays Emperor Forsen. In the previous turn, Pavel drew a card from Ezra Drake, so in this turn he has 12 cards in his deck. Now the odds of drawing Babbling Book in this turn is of 8.3%, the odds of drawing both Babbling Books 2 turns in a row is 1.2%, and the Madman against all odds did it again. He plays Babbling Book and gets Fireland's Portal, the 1 in 29 spell that is the perfect answer for Emperor Forison, the only card that clears the board and gives him a minion.
A little more flexible against, say, Fireland's Portal number 2, because you can't just Fireland's Portal with Sylvanas.
Oh my god!
What did I say?
We should just choose what cards have.
And all of a sudden the tables have turned. Pavel is now winning the game and Amnesiac is the one running out of juice. In fact, he won this game, tying the score thanks to insane RNG, won the final game and went on to win the whole tournament. Amnesiac choked a 3-0 lead by playing his win condition in a turn where he couldn't follow it up. But his read was actually right, and what messed up his game was inconceivable bad luck. I mean, with luck this bad, what can you even do, right? Well, similar inconceivable losses happened in CSGO. In this case, it is much worse than losing a game due to bad luck. What do you do when your god-gifted ability to win suddenly vanishes? SK Gaming was once the greatest team in CSGO. Coldzera, after that insane play, went on to become the best player in the world. They even switched orgs for another that paid better. Together, they won 2 majors back-to-back. And Luminosity became the best team in Counter-Strike. But in 2018, their empire started to crumble. They had an entire year of choking. They got 3rd, 4th at the E-League Major, 3rd at CS Summit. They also lost at Star Series Season 4. They lost to Cloud9 at IAM Katowice, choked real bad at DreamHack Masters, got almost last place at IEM Sydney, got 5th at ESL Pro League Season 7, Navi eliminated them at Star Series Season 5, and lastly they lost playing from home at IEM Belo Horizonte. And halfway through 2018 they switched orgs again, apparently because they wanted to sign a new player to the roster. In fact, the roster changed so much that at one point the player majority were Americans. Eventually the Brazilians decided to kick the Americans from the team, so minus Tarek, minus Stewie. Immediately they won 16-2 versus Australis, the best team in the world at the time. We followed it up with more choking. This was around the time when Coldzera left the team, arguably their best player. And eventually everyone from the original roster went their own way. Nowadays most of them retired, and the ones who didn't haven't won big events in years, resembling just a shadow of their former selves. Funny thing is that this happened twice in CSGO. After the SK era came the Astralis era, who many argue was the best team ever. They dominated the scene from 2018 till the middle of the pandemic. Just as presidential events began to die off, so did their empire. They choked many tournaments in a row like the Blast Premier Spring, IEM Katowice, and the ESL Pro League Season 14. Then they lost the Vice, a great Opera and their best player, which was clearly heartbreaking for the other team members.
It's actually quite emotional. How do you put it out? I mean, I respect everything you've done and what we've been through. And yeah, I mean, I wish you the best going forward. I'm gonna try and do my best to fulfill your shoes.
Then, playing with a temporary replacement, they proceeded to choke 2 more tournaments. The DreamHack Spring and the IM Cologne. They then replaced the Vice with Lucky, but well, their luck didn't change. They maintained their choking streak at the ESL Pro League Season 14 and the PGL Major. From 2021 forward, Astralis could very rarely place anywhere even near the podium. Differently from SK Gaming though, most players from the OG roster are still active. Technically the team is still up, but the only legacy player who's still there is the Vice. Which is ironic because he was the first to jump ship to get into a better team. Now there's an argument to be made here that sure, you can't be the best forever, and I can agree with that. No matter what, all 10 players are legends. But also the 2 respective years where the decline started is some of the worst performances in eSports history. It was unimaginable that the 2 best teams in the world could vanish into inexistence in a single year time span. A textbook fell off. They made history as the biggest champions and the biggest chokers. But now let's not cling into how great teams were in the past for too long. I feel like these 2 stories are like the Starry Night of choking, but let me present to you what is to me the Mona Lisa. Imagine having a team that is really good but always chokes consistently. And because they are so good, they just never disband. It's like they are cursed to just never win. Well, the team that I am referring to is KT Roaster, a really good team cursed to never win Worlds. For over a decade, KT Roaster have beaten some of the best teams in League, but for inexplicable reasons they could never qualify to Worlds, League's most prestigious tournament. And the times they did qualify, they always got the same results. KT has some of the most interesting stories in esports, and to tell it as it is, we'll have to start from the beginning. In 2012, KT Roaster was created, but divided into KT Roaster Arrows and KT Roaster Bullets. That's their origin in League. Their actual history goes way back. From early to middle 2000s, KT Roaster was huge on StarCraft, and ever since then, they always had a rivalry with SK Telecom, a rivalry that became known in esports as the Telecom Wars. That's because both teams represent the two biggest telecommunications companies in South Korea. Now, between the Arrows and the Bullets, the general consensus was that the Bullets was the best of the two. The Arrows were known for being a little clumsy. But back to the matter at hand, the Telecom rivalry kicked off with SKT winning. During the OGN Hot 6 Summer 2013, KT lost to SKT T1, and then again at the regional qualifiers they lost to them one more time. And KT had to watch from home their rivals lift the first ever Worlds trophy. In 2014, KT was having a much greater performance, and not because of the Bullets. Surprisingly, the Arrows were carrying the name this time. They won against SKT and Samsung Blue, getting first place in the summer season. Nowadays, that would be enough to get them to Worlds, but unfortunately, back then in Korea, the top teams via circuit points are the ones who make it. And by that metric, Samsung White and Samsung Blue are the ones who got to Worlds. Again, KT's destiny was going to be decided in the qualifiers, but tragically both KT Bullets and Arrows lost to Ned and White Shield. Really disastrous. In 2015 though, some interesting things happened. Riot banned the sibling teams, so the two KT teams had to merge into a single team. Another change worth mentioning is that the LCK, that is the primary competition organizer for South Korea, finally implemented a change that made it so the winner of the summer split immediately qualifies to Worlds. You would think that's good news for KT, right? They won the previous year. Well, this time they still got to the grand finals but lost to SKT T1. But there is a silver lining. For this year going forward, they still had the original qualifiers to fight for their spot. And they won. For the first time in the team history, they are going to compete in League's biggest tournament. Their group was fairly strong, but still they managed to come out on top, building confidence and momentum. They had an impressive run on their first ever Worlds that ended with them losing at the quarterfinals. Really not bad, all things considered. But again, KT was going to have to sit at home and watch their rivals take their second Worlds trophy. Regardless, this created an initial hype for KT Roaster. Many believed it would be one of the main contenders on the next year's Worlds. This is also around the time when a joke or a meme surrounding KT started. It goes, "Don't get excited. Every time you get excited about KT, that's when they will choke and let you down." Well, in the summer split, they again clashed and won against some of the best teams in the world, like their arch enemies SKT. But on the grand finals, they lost to Rox Tigers 3-2. For their last attempt to get to Worlds in the original qualifiers, they went against Samsung Galaxy, which at the time was doing horribly themselves. Samsung had lost 19 games in a row. They hadn't beaten KT Roaster since 2016. The odds just couldn't be better for KT. But KT has a curse that prevents them from winning, and they lost it all in one of the closest best of fives I've ever seen. KT managed to get both of the qualifiers grand finals and lost in really close matches. And to top it all off, once again they have to sit at home and watch their rivals take their third trophy. Well, unlucky I guess. Going on to 2017, they made huge changes to their roster, bringing over multiple star players, real OGs with many titles under their name. It felt like finally this team could not fail. But then again, we can't forget this small little detail, they are cursed. KT lost to SKT 3-2 at the summer split semi-final, and of course the KT special, they lost to Samsung Galaxy at the regional qualifiers. In the next year, things were looking better for KT, mainly because things were going so bad for their rivals. During the 2018 summer split, SKT got eliminated in the playoffs, a first time ever for their team. Also, this is the year where we can finally see change beginning to happen in the Korean League. New teams were coming over to the LCK, most notably Griffin, Kingzone, Dragon X and the Africa Freaks. Meaning KT Roaster could prove that experience does make a difference. In the grand finals they faced Griffin, one of the new upcoming teams, and won 3-2. Finally, after so many years fighting for it, they had won the Korean League. KT Roaster officially had the title of the best team in Korea, for the short period of time anyway. Winning the summer split also meant that KT was the highest seed going into Rhodes. In the group stage they only lost one game. It was pretty much smooth sailing. But again, in the quarterfinals they were going against Invictus Gaming, which was pretty unlucky for KT to get matched against Invictus at this stage of the tournament. They were the two best teams in that year's Worlds, and basically whoever wins this match has the best odds to win the whole tournament. And well, again KT lost at the quarterfinals, just like 4 years earlier. Well, in the next year KT got eliminated earlier than usual in their summer split, getting to only 8th place. After that, most of the roster left KT Roaster, most notably Score, who had been playing for KT since the Bullets and remained loyal to the team throughout all the years and the roster changes. So, due to that little mishap, they didn't compete in that year's Worlds. Now, at this point, no player from the legacy roster of 2012 remain. But the curse continued. In 2020, their luck didn't change. They finished 6th in the summer split and 4th in the regional qualifiers. In 2021, they got 7th in the summer split, and again problems with the roster happened and they didn't compete in their year's qualifiers. In 2022, they got 5th in the summer split and got barred from Rhodes by losing to DRX in the regional qualifiers. 2023 though, they finished 3rd in the summer split, but actually got to Worlds for the 3rd time in the team's history. And again, playing their Worlds, they lost and got eliminated at the quarterfinals, just like the 2 previous times they made it to Worlds in the years prior. And finally, in 2024, they got to 5th in the summer split and 3rd in the regional qualifiers. And here is where their story ends for now. We will see where the KT saga leads us. Maybe they'll win this year's Worlds, and that would be truly historical. KT's story is kinda weird. It would be comical if it wasn't so tragic. It's actually staggering how many times KT came so close to grandeur. How many times they choked in the very last game of a very disputed best of 5. How many times they finished in 2nd when all they needed was that extra W to officially consolidate their names amongst the best of the best. Sadly, in our society, there is no trophy for the 2nd place. Even though consistently getting to the podium is something really hard to do, especially when you're competing against the strongest players in the strongest region of the game. It is pretty impressive. KT Roaster may not have the trophies to show for it, but they definitely are one of the best teams of the LCK. But also they are masters at the craft of choking. But anyways boys, this is a wrap. But before I go, let me just steal some more of Imp's bars. At the end of his video he goes, "I've been describing choking as brutal or even hard to watch, but sometimes, very rarely, a choke can end beautifully." And I think I know a story like that in eSports. Originally, when I was looking for counterparts in Imp's video last year, I made a list, and in this section I had the story of a guy named Punk. He is a Street Fighter pro that after an impressive run in EVO 2017, beating everyone 3-0 and being the guy everyone expected to win the whole tournament, he got to the grand finals, lost the first set 3-1 and got 3-0'd himself in the second set. Ever since he never came close to winning EVO again, people been clowning on him for years, but then I took him off the very last level because 7 years later, just last year, Punk finally raised the trophy after 7 years of fighting for it. And it's such a beautiful moment too. Punk is a very emotional player. I love that the moment that he won, first thing to mind was to check on his opponent, almost as if saying, "Bruh, I've been there." So yeah, this win made that the performance in 2017 is still painful but less meaningful. It only served to make this moment more rewarding and deserving.
Straight up. Punk, you the best in the world, bro! You hear me?
The SK era is officially here.
The Astralis era.
This is Vitality's world now!
So Now I'm like actually legitimately lost.
And Antia, come on.
Next time, no waking up at 12:30.
Team bold.
Mollying on top of us. No, I'm sorry, I fucked us over. Let's fall, let's fall, let's fall. No, I'm cooking.
Defense, which after Deep Blue moved Bishop to E7, gave him the advantage with his knight position. With all due respect to Mr. Kasparov, what the hell were you thinking?